Hello everyone. So today I have another demo about the AnimShader library I wrote. So with this demo I want to address two things. First of all, I want to show you a more hands-on approach, so to see how you can use the library in a specific case, or better in a real case. And then also a sneak peek on the version 2 of the library, which now supports viewport and lights. Okay, so that's the final result we're going to get after working with the library. Okay, so we see we have texture, we have shaders, we have lights, viewport 2.0, and so on. Okay, we're going to see how to do that. Okay, so we start again from the default scene, which is this. So pure Lambert, no lights or anything. Okay, so the let's make a let's actually make, let's see, let's go down to the end, let's make a new tab, Python. Okay, so first of all what we want to do is to create a shader and being able to dynamically assign that. Okay, so in order to do so we need to create a shader and a matcher. Okay, so basically a matcher is something define the geometries that follow a certain rule you can specify and apply the given shader. Okay, so here for example we are going to create the shader we are going to use for the accessories. So first of all we need to do a couple of imports. So I'm copy pasting because it's better than me typing and making typos all over the place. So we need from AnimShader we're going to import the shaders, for example Lambert and Bleen. Then from matchers we import wildcard matcher, and we're going to see in a little what it is. And then we're going to use a look to basically apply the combination of matcher and shader. So first step, we are going to create a Bleen shader, which we're going to call access, which is a short name for accessories. So we create a Bleen, which is called accessory shader. Once we do that, if I open the hypershade, you see it created for me an accessory. Let me actually get rid of that, I don't need it. So it created for me an accessory shader, which is here. Let me show the connection. So it's a pure shader, Bleen, default one with anything. Now I can apply different attributes. I can control that through the class. And what I'm going to apply are different textures. So for example, the color, which is this path, the specular color, and the bump. Okay. So you see, as soon as I assign the color, it automatically creates for me the needed nodes and so on. Same things for the specular color and for the bump. Okay. If now I graph that better, you see that my shader has now everything it needs. It has color, specular, and bump. Now the only things we need is basically tell which geometries we want to apply that on, and to do so we need a matcher. Okay, and the way you create a matcher is like that. So we have different type of matcher. For example, now I implemented two type of matcher, which is one of wildcard matchers, which basically filters all the geometries which respect our wildcard, and another one which work with sets. So if you have a set holding all the accessory geometries, it's going to be even easier. It just says, okay, grab the geometry from this set and you're done. But now we're going to do that with wildcards. So I make an instance of the wildcard matchers, and then I pass all the wildcards I want. So for example, all the pockets, the knife. Here I both have capitalized and not capitalized knife because different accessory have different wildcard needs. Because some accessory have capitalized knife, with capitalized knife, some don't. Same for the belts. Then we have the shotgun and the grenade. Okay, so I create that, and now this matcher, if we want to see what geometry is going to be collected from there, we can call the method getMeshes, and there's all the geometry that match. But we don't really have to do so, because that is going to be called automatically. Okay, so the last steps we need is basically a look. So the look class, which we're making an instance here, is just basically a container for all the sub look. And for sub look I mean a combination of matcher and a shader. Okay, so basically each shader with proper matches is a sub look, and we are going to see we are going to have a lot of sub look for this character because we have a lot of different shader. And the way to add a sub look is really simple. So we call the add sub look method, which takes two arguments: a list of matchers, which actually I forgot to create one. I'm going to type that in a little, and then the shader. Okay, so I'm going to create another matcher, which basically just grab the underscore geo. So if we have something that match, for example, locator, even if it's a rig, you can also filter for geometries. And a sublook basically is able to handle multiple matchers. So basically, by applying this, you're concatenating rules together. So only the geometries that satisfy both matchers rule are going to be picked. So you see, you can create a lot of combinations, so you can go really in detail on what you want to pick and what you don't. And then we just pass the access shader, okay? So if we do that, you see still nothing happened. We added a sublook, but if we want to apply that, we call the method apply look. Okay, and once we do that, you see it's find properly the geometries and apply them, and you see that we have color, we have bump, we have specular, we have everything that we applied. Okay, so now I'm going to jump in the other tab where I already built everything, and we are going to go through that more quickly. So I have an eyelash shader, which is a simple blend shader with a black color, so nothing fancy. Then filtering for eyelashes. Then I have the body, again texture. I created a matcher from body and glove. Again legs, texture, then the proper matches, which is legs and shoes. Then the hairs, so you don't need that, which is texture, and we also have a texture for the transparency because it has an alpha. Then of course I'm filtering for hairs. Then the inner mouth for teeth and this kind of stuff. Then we have one for the cornea, and we are done. And you see we are applying all the sub look here. Okay, all together. So now let me open again the default scene. And now if I run all that, let me also open the hypershade, so you can see it's going to create all the shader and assign everything properly. So if I run that now, see, now it's thinking, it's loading, now it's loading all the texture in the hypershade. That's why there is the freaking mouse. But you see, we applied everything got applied correctly, and we're good to go. So basically that's the basic shading for our character, and that's it. So the next big step is to implement some lighting. Okay, so what I call a lighting set. Sorry, one thing, we are actually going to save this look we just created by calling the look method save, and we are going to save on this path. And let me see, that's basically the file that gets generated. So you see it's getting all the data that needs to be saved dynamically, and saves them. Okay, so we don't have to run this code every time. Once we create that, all the shader and everything, Luke also know how to recreate that now. So let me actually show that to you. So now if I just create an instance of Luke and I say okay, load from this file, now it's thinking, here we go, we got everything back, all the shaders named correctly with correct values, everything applied. So once you do that with 2 lines of code, you can reapply all the shader. Okay, so regarding the lighting, we are going to I'm going to show you a different approach. Basically, I created the lights. Actually, a colleague of mine created that for me because I suck at lighting or everything which is not rigging. So it creates this basic light stuff for me with those lights. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, okay, grab those lights, save them, and then apply them. So here is the code we need. So we are going to import different classes, which are directional light, the viewport 2.0 renderer, because we want to use viewport 2.0, of course, and actually let me do that with the final scene, just because it's easier to grab all the options with for the renderer, because I want to show you basically the approach where you do that stuff manually, and with the classes you are able to save. So you can see both approach. So in order to do so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load that everything manual everything. So let me just get rid of the light. So now I'm both loading the look, of course, sorry, the look and the lighting. So now it complained that it didn't find an active viewport, because in order to set stuff on the viewport you need to have an active one, because you can set stuff on different viewports. So I need to make sure that I click on the viewport so it's active. So so I click here, I move, so I know it's active. Here we go. So it's thinking, it's loading all the texture, and here we go. So that's the final result. So here I have all the lights, I have the viewport set up the way I want. So I'm going to create a directional light, but I'm passing an extra argument, which is basically the creation mode. If I set that to false, it's not going to create the light, but it's going to look for an existing light with this name. Okay, so by doing so for all the directional light, basically I have now some classes, some light classes pointing directly to these objects. So since I'm pointing to this object, it's easy for me to save them. And then basically I'm going to make an instance of the viewport 2.0 renderer. So now I have an instance of the viewport, so I can easily grab all the settings in the way I set them manually. And then in final step, similar to the look, I need a manager for the lightings, so the lights and the renderer, which is called light set. I make an instance of that, I store the renderer, the lights, and then I'm just going to call save. Okay, and once I do that, let me show that to you. Where did I actually save that? On the desktop. So let me open that. So you will see is a similar file. Come on, how is that possible? It's not valid. Huh. Thank you. So let's just grab that test light set. There we go. So you see it's a similar file where we have all the lights and also the renderer. So those are the renderer settings. So now that I have that, I stored the result. Really, the only things I have to do is load it back in, which I do in the same way with the load method. Okay. So after I set up everything, the shader the way I want, lighting the way I want, I just save them. And seriously, you can see that with 4 lines of codes, I can rebuild everything I created here. Okay, and do that with the library is built in a smart way that all the classes is really easy and dynamic, nothing is hard coded and so on. So let me reopen again the default scene so I show you one last time. So let me make the viewport active, and then I'm going to load both the look you can see here and then the lighting settings. Okay, once I do that, just taking a little to think, loading all the, and here we go, good to go. We got the final result that we wanted. Okay, so that's the basic usage of the library, and also a sneak peek for the lighting now. It supports all the different type of viewport, the different type of lights, and so on. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. See ya.